And most of all, real ballers. The man. One day this whole shop gonna be yours. The veteran. A monkey can climb up a tree, but it don't mean you're gonna get free cake. What the hell did that mean? The rookie. Just a little off the top. The hothead. You being nice to me? I don't know this woman.
You know me if I shove my foot up your throat.
And the new girl.
All done. Don't look like Beyonce. Just like her.
Barbershop back in business. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, February 6th.
So Barbershop 2 deals with the impacts of gentrification on the reputation and livelihood of a long-standing South Chicago barbershop. And like I said, you've got most of the same people back from the first movie. There's additional characters. Queen Latifah, Kenan Thompson's involved in this. And, you know, the first film was one of those big surprises that really did come out of nowhere. It actually turned out to be a really good movie in the process, and a film that, you know, shows Ice Cube has range in acting. And this one, I think, is just as good. I think this is about as enjoyable as the original film. There's still a lot of elements about it that are very funny. You do like the camaraderie between all these characters. I think Queen Latifah is a nice addition to the series, even though technically she's building here for a special appearance. I mean, she has a bigger role, I think, than just a special appearance. But this was really just to promote the upcoming spin-off Beauty Shop, which, if you saw the movie in theaters around this time, there was actually a trailer for this, for that Beauty Shop spin-off right before this movie came out and came on the screen, I should say. But you know, the film is still just as fun as the original film. There is still a lot of things about it that do work from a dramatic perspective, from a story perspective, a writing perspective overall. Even though it's a different director, it's not Tim Story this time around. It's Kevin Rodney Sullivan, who would later go on to direct Guess Who the following year. And I mean, he shows that he can handle what Tim Story had introduced in the first film and add another level to it in general. It's a story that is very much a formulaic storyline. Can be predictable at times, but never to the point where the film really overstays its welcome or feels like it's just a rip-off sequel. You could tell that they were trying to expand the story a little bit more with this particular film, and I thought for the most part they did indeed succeed with it. I think it is a very enjoyable sequel, about as good as the original film. The Barbershop films in general have been really, really good all throughout the 4 films, including the spin-off, and we'll get more into the Beauty Shop when we get to next year in 2005. But, yeah, I really like Barbershop 2. So with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Kurt Russell in Miracle.
Want to hear an amazing story? Back in 1960, Coach Brooks was on the Olympic hockey team. But a week before the games, his coach cuts him and sends him home. And that team went on to win the gold medal. Without him.
Herb Brooks had given up his dream of Olympic glory. Until 20 ordinary kids.
Why'd you want to play hockey? Isn't it obvious? For the girls?
Gave him a second chance.
The Soviets win. My goal is to beat them at their own game. Beat the best team in the world. Gold medalists in 64, 68, 72, 76. Name? Mark Johnson. Buddy Shaddy. Mike Ruzioni. You're missing some of the best players. I'm looking for the best players, Craig. I'm looking for the right ones.
They were bitter rivals.
A lot of guys from Minnesota and Boston. Yeah, that's gonna work.
But one coach had a plan to turn them into a team.
I got no time for quitters. You want me to play hockey? I want you to be a hockey player! That'll get them going? Oh, yeah.
When you face the impossible.
Russians' main weapon is intimidation. These guys ever swell? They're Russians. They get shot if they smile.
And you refuse to give up.
I didn't think it was gonna be this hard.
Yeah, you did.
We start becoming a team right now.
Miracles can happen.
When you pull on that jersey, the name on the front is more important than the one on the back. Michael Ruzioni. Who do you play for? I play for the United States of America. Welcome to the Olympics, gentlemen.
Walt Disney Pictures presents.
This is something that this country is ready for. Great moments are born from great opportunity. If we play them 10 times, they might win 9, but not this game. Listen to it. We can beat these guys.
Discover the story.
This is your time.
Behind the greatest moment in sports history.
I mean, of course, Disney had to make a movie about the Miracle on Ice. I mean, they have the footage, the famous footage of Al Michaels saying, "Do you believe in miracles?" In fact, he actually is in the movie re-recording a lot of his lines, and when they actually get to the final 10 seconds, they actually take the current voice of Al Michaels and then take it back down to when he was saying this in 1980, which can be a little bit distracting when you hear Al Michaels in 2004 all of a sudden turning into the Al Michaels of 1980, and it definitely sounds like he's gotten 24 years older in between 1980 and now, but now of this when this movie came out. But at the same time, it still works, and the movie itself works as a whole. Yeah, it's very much a formulaic Disney sports film, but it's a formulaic Disney sports film about one of the greatest moments in sports history, about the U.S. men's ice hockey team, whose gold medal victory in the 1980 Winter Olympics over the heavily favored seasoned Soviet team, which dubbed the Miracle on Ice. And you've got Kurt Russell starring as Herb Brooks, with Patricia Clarkson and Noah Emmerich in supporting roles. And it's a very uplifting film. It's a film that has very much been there, done that in terms of, the story is this kind of sports movie cliches. They are in this movie, but the story is so inspiring and so incredible. Like, you really do get invested in it, and you really do ignore the fact that they are doing a lot of sports movie cliches, because the story as a whole is very well done. The story is very much, it's the spotlight of the entire movie is that game between the U.S. men's hockey team and the Soviet team in that game in the Miracle on Ice. I mean, it's a classic moment in sports history, and it does a very good job of making you feel like you're back in 1980 watching this for the first time. I mean, seeing this on a big screen was really impressive to watch for the first time because I had seen like little bits and pieces of it here and there, but obviously I never really saw the whole thing on live television, because I was still 9 years away from being born when this happened. So, but it's a very thrilling film. They do a great job of making you feel like you're part of the action. You're watching the suspense overall. Like, when it gets to the final minutes of that game, you're on the edge of your seat. Even though you know what's going to happen, you know what's going to come next. Like, this film does a very good job of keeping you in suspense throughout the course of the film, even though you know good and goddamn well what happens, because the story is woefully well known about what happened after this. But Kurt Russell is very good in the film, giving a really good performance as Herb Brooks. Patricia Clarkson's very good, so is Noah Emmerich. The cast overall is really great. The visuals are very impressive. Like I said, good storytelling, just a really, really good film. Probably one of Disney's best sports movies in general. You've got one of the greatest stories in sports history. You better make the best movie you can out of it, and they do just that and then some. So, yeah, there you go. That's Miracle. So, let's get to some crap, because, we still are in the dumping weeks of the early part of the year. Here's Kristen Stewart in Catch That Kid.
You guys, I really need you. Let's go save your dad.
The climber.
We're gonna make our way to the safe. It's suspended 100 feet off the ground.
The hacker.
That created a digital blueprint of the building.
Awesome!
The driver.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Let's hit it.
On February 6th,
Catch that kid.
they're on a mission
to release the dogs.
Run.
without permission.
My mom's gonna kill me.
Catch That Kid.
We are so grounded.
Rated PG. February 6th, only in...
Because they're kids. Because they're kids. Get it? Get it? Get it? Get it? Can we put you in the face even more with that? I mean, the whole... that's just one commercial. The trailer is just as bad for this. But, yeah, you get the idea. They're kids. I mean, the story very much is about as simple as you can get. 3 kids who rob a bank to obtain the money to pay for the expensive and experimental surgery needed for the father of one of them, when the insurance company and the bank president won't help his wife. And you've got Kristen Stewart, pre-Twilight, Corbin Bleu, pre-High School Musical, Max Theroux, pre-The Pacifier, Jennifer Beals, Sam Robards, John Carroll Lynch, James LaGrosse. Good cast, and a good director, Bart Fruitland, who would later go on to do much better movies in general, like Trust the Man, and Michael Brandt and Derek House, who wrote the Terminator movies, the more recent Terminator movies. But there's a lot of talent involved in here. But it's just a generic script. It's a film that you can tell Fox saw the success of Spy Kids, saw the success of Agent Cody Banks, saw the success of Kim Possible, and said, we need our kids spy movie. So just throw whatever garbage you can together, and we'll put a movie out in time for February, because we think it's going to be successful, and no, it wasn't. It was far from successful, and you can kind of see why. It's about as blatantly obvious of a kid's knockoff as you can get. It's a film that wants to remind you that there are that this was a thing around the time with kids spy movies and TV shows that were so much better than this movie was, and just a waste of talent overall. Not really given a whole lot to do in general, and it delivers what you expect it to do. I mean, it's a film that really is pretty lame overall. Nothing really all that engaging. Nothing really all that amazing. Just what you'd expect for the dumping weeks of January and early February. But I digress. Let's go ahead and wrap this up on a better note. Here's Bernardo Bertolucci's The Dreamers.
You could give us proof of your love. I want you to do it the way you did it when you thought no one was watching.
You're both crazy!
This is a movie that is most notably known for having the uncut NC-17 version and an R-rated version that's 3 minutes shorter. Based off of the novel The Holy Innocents, you have a story that follows an American university student in Paris who, after meeting a peculiar brother and sister who are fellow film enthusiasts, become entangled in an erotic triangle set against the backdrop of the 1968 Paris student riots. It makes several references to various movies of classical and French New Wave cinema, incorporating clips and films from those that are often imitated by the actors in particular scenes. And, Bernardo Bertolucci was kind of on a lackluster spiral after The Last Emperor. Most of his movies he made after this were either not good films or very much underwhelming performers, like The Sheltering Sky, Little Buddha, Stealing Beauty, Besieged. A lot of these movies we've talked about on this show in the past. But this was the one that really brought him back to form a little bit. I mean, this is a really good movie. And he also, keep in mind, this is also the same guy that did Last Tango in Paris before he did The Last Emperor. And he's got a great cast to work with here. You can tell that he is working with some really good talents involved here. Ava Green, Michael Pitt, Louis Garrel, Anna Chancellor. They're doing a very good job of handling these roles in particular, and the film really is well done. Like, it's the definition of what a good erotic thriller should be. And we've had so many knockoff erotic thriller films. Everyone wanted to be the next Basic Instinct, and every single one of those movies ended up being complete garbage. But here's a film that is not only just an erotic thriller, but a very good earnest drama in general, and delivers everything that promises and then some, and features a lot of young talent really showing what they can do in general, and they are very good in the film. They're all very solid performers. The film is very intense to watch. It's a very intriguing film in general. I really liked it a lot. I give it a good recommendation. Definitely check out The Dreamers.
Tony, how's fun?
I met this guy.
It was the best week of my life.
When I asked for his phone number, he told me he's married.
Dang.
Straight.
Henry Ross, why didn't you tell me you were a secret agent?
I'm afraid that's not an option, Lisa.
Linda.
I know, I changed your name for your protection.
Dr. Henry Ross' best relationships were with his patients, and he wasn't looking to settle down. But one day, the unthinkable happened.
Blinded by the light, wrapped up like a deer.
Are you staring at me or her? Because you're starting to freak me out.
Oh, Henry Ross, nice to meet you.
Whoa, amber is the color of your energy. The only problem is, whoa, shades of
What is going on?
About a year ago, Lucy was in a terrible car accident. She lost her short-term memory.
she won't remember him tomorrow.
You and I are actually seeing each other.
Don't worry, you're not going to suffer any short-term memory loss. But was your head shaped like an egg before she hit you?
Now, the guy who's afraid of commitment.
I just wanted to try something that'll help her remember me.
It's a videotape.
During this reenactment, you will be played by Hula. Aloha! Sorry about your brain.
He's going to extremes.
Okay, pal. When she stops, just let her pet you. Look cute. Okay, here she comes. Smile. Why is she not slowing down? Uh-oh.
To get the girl.
You don't have any idea who I am.
I've never even met you.
Come on!
gonna be all right, Liz.
Don't probably severely know you.
Sweetie, you're sort of dating him. Sorry, I'm not better looking.
Barrymore.
Okay, this is it. Pretend you're attacking me so she pulls over.
What do you think you're doing? Coming over here, taking our pineapple. Help me, please. I'll get your big ass. Oh! Go!
Are you okay? Okay, I'll be right back. Hey, come here! No.
50 first dates.
I mean, it's got a movie where Drew Barrymore is beating the crap out of Rob Schneider. I think that's an automatic win on this film. And it's also directed by Peter Siegel, who we've talked about before in the past. He makes a lot of really good comfort food comedies. Tommy Boy, My Fellow Americans, what was the other one he did? I'm going to remember it. Anger Management was another one. He did another one, too, and I hate to do this, because I've literally just... I've seen this guy's movies so many times. Naked Gun 33 1/3, of course, and A Nutty Professor to the Clumps. He's made a lot of great comfort food films, and this is another one of those movies that works, you know, just from the fact that you got Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, and they were so pitch perfect in The Wedding Singer, and here they show they've got that charisma that can work through multiple movies. Here Sandler plays Henry Roth, who's a womanizing marine veterinarian who falls for an art teacher named Lucy Whitmore, played by Drew Barrymore. He discovers she has amnesia and forgets him when she falls asleep, and resolves to win her again over each new day. So, kind of an Edge of Tomorrow type of thing going on here. And like I said, it works because Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore are just so charming together. They had it in The Wedding Singer, even in a movie like Blended, which is probably the lesser of the three films that they were involved in. It's still better than some of Adam Sandler's other movies, and yet that was the one that flopped and basically forced Adam Sandler to Netflix after that, basically. But in here, like I said, it works because the two work off each other so well. Yeah, it's got the Sandler type of gross-out humor that can get really tiring really fast, but at the same time, it works because you do like the chemistry, and you do want to see Adam Sandler getting together with Drew Barrymore when it's all said and done. I mean, it's a beautifully put together film. It's a film that works because of their chemistry. The jokes can work sometimes, especially more times than they usually do. The gross out humor is a little bit of a mixed bag, but it never overstays the welcome of the enjoyment of the film. You got a strong cast in the film to really carry the load. And like I said, the comedy in here I think works better in this case than some of Adam Sandler's lesser films. I mean, my favorite scene in the whole movie is when he's on the boat and he has the Beach Boys CD, and he's like, "What an asshole!" And like it literally cuts to the next scene, and him just crying when the song "Wouldn't It Be Nice" is playing in the background. Like, it's a funny scene, and because I love that song, I love the Beach Boys so much, I laugh so hard at that. That's my favorite scene in the whole movie. But like, there's a lot of other things about it that work very well. I mean, the comedy works. The writing overall is very good, and again, it's Peter Siegel. I think this guy has a good way to has a good comfort area with the director, with the people that he gets involved with, especially with Adam Sandler, because he was making a couple of really good movies around this time. Stuff like Anger Management, this, and then his next movie, The Longest Yard, which I think is a really damn good movie. I mean, this is a guy that really knows what he's doing as a director. I think he's a guy that really is very good at what he does. He's a good comfort food director. He's like Sean Levy. He's like Adam Shankman. Like, he's not going to make like a grand masterpiece. I mean, not yet, at least. We'll see what happens down the road. But he'll make a movie that you can laugh at. You can have a good time with it. And 50 First Dates definitely is the type of movie that you go in and have a good time with. I mean, it's a really impressive, damn good romantic comedy. And it's one of Adam Sandler's better movies, easily. Needless to say, I can't recommend it enough. Definitely check it out. 50 First Dates, if you haven't seen it already. Which, you might have amnesia. You may have seen it and you completely forgot about it the next day. But you should definitely see it.
In New York. Goodbye, Broadway. Goodbye, any chance of becoming a famous actress.
Please, don't be such a drama queen.
Lola may be the new girl in a small town. But she's not giving up on her one big dream. To become a star.
In my heart, this is where I belong.
No matter who stands in her way.
Carla's the all-time champion. I think you've peaked. Hop on. Me again.
or what sacrifices she'll have to make.
I couldn't possibly have a boyfriend. I mean, I have to focus on my acting career.
One girl is finally going to take a chance
Auditions are Friday.
at making her dreams come true.
Understand that we must fly away from the nest.
I just know something is going to go wrong.
The road to stardom won't be glamorous, and it won't be easy.
Have you finally had enough? Is that a threat? Absolutely. Ow, ow, ow.
But she's going to discover
I like your necklace.
I like your boots.
Trust me, I'm smiling.
that her real life
Because of you, I'm brave enough to be different.
can exceed her wildest dreams.
Don't be afraid. You're gonna be great. This whole night belongs to you. Life can be so randomly beautiful.
Lindsay Lohan, get ready. A star is about to be born. Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen.
God, that whole trailer felt like a fake movie. I mean, you know those commercials that you see on TV where they have like the fake movie, yes, where they try to do like the fake movie trailer voiceover guy type of thing. That's what this whole trailer feels like. But no, this is what Disney put out thinking that it was going to be a hit, and well, it opened up in early February, so that should probably give you an early indication of what this movie is going to be like. So Lindsay Lohan stars in this. Is an aspiring teenage actress whose family moves from New York City to New Jersey, which really is not that far, really. I mean, it's not going to stop her from making it big in the Big Apple, honestly. But you also have Adam Garcia playing her favorite rock musician, Gladden playing her mother, Alison Pill is her best friend, and introducing Megan Fox in her theatrical debut. You see in the trailer there. And needless to say, she probably had the more successful career out of between the two of them. I mean, the whole movie is focused on Lindsay Lohan. People forget Megan Fox has had a more successful career than Lindsay Lohan did, and she got better with age, like in terms of the movies that she picked, at least for a little bit there after the Transformers movies. But we're not here to talk about this. We're here to talk about the movie itself, and yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, this is a film that was clearly trying to cash in on the success of Freaky Friday, Lindsay Lohan's success in there. And this was not the 2004 Lindsay Lohan movie that would really cash in on that and show that, hey, this girl's got some range as an actress. No. That's still a couple months away, and I think you know what film I'm talking about. But this is a Disney Channel movie blown up for the big screen. I mean, from the trailer with the fake-ass voiceover guy, I mean, from the idea alone, like, everything about this movie just feels like a bad Disney Channel original movie, except this was blown up on the big screen, hoping to cash in on the success of Lindsay Lohan and Freaky Friday, and it just fails miserably on so many different levels. It's a movie that's not really that funny, it's not really that clever, it's not really that smart, there's not a whole lot of good direction in this. The writing overall is not that great. This is based off of a novel by the same name. I don't know. I don't feel like the story could have really been done better if he got somebody else to do it. I think Hilary Duff was attached at one point to do this, and then when she passed on it, Lindsay Lohan took it over. And even then, I don't even think Hilary Duff could have saved this movie, honestly. I mean, maybe in the hands of a better director and a better writer, maybe this could have been saved. But as it is, it's just an overblown Disney Channel movie for the big screen. I mean, really, there's no memorability to it whatsoever. It's no Freaky Friday, and it's certainly no Mean Girls. But it is what it is, and it's not a very good movie in general. It didn't even really become that big of a hit. It was the highest of the new releases, but even then, that really isn't saying a whole lot. So that's Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. And for our next movie, remember in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs with the thing that made the food out of there, and there's a USB port that literally says "Welcome to Mooseport." You ever wonder what that was referencing to? If you never saw this movie we're about to show you, here's what I'm talking about.
Morning, Handy. Morning, Morris. Morning,
Handy. Mooseport was a quiet, peaceful town.
I think I'm finally ready.
You're ready?
Yeah.
Ready
To get the new truck, a big one.
Dina, false alarm.
Until the day he moved in.
Let's welcome the former president of the United States, Monroe Eagle Gold.
I'm only here because I lost my Baltimore house in my divorce.
It's just the tip of the iceberg.
You thieving, conniving. Absolutely true.
Now,
there would be no greater honor bestowed on our town.
To beseech you, sir, to be our mayor.
I think you should do it.
the biggest question is
it me, or did you just get asked out by the president guy?
Yes, I think I did.
Is this town small enough?
Mr. President, I'm running for the mayor of Mooseport.
Are you telling me that I'm running for mayor against the man installing my toilet?
For the both of them.
What just happened?
You're running against the president.
And your girlfriend's dating him.
Let's bury this guy. Time to take your gloves off.
You really actually like this guy?
I don't know. He's the president.
Well, then why are you wearing black underwear?
What difference does it make what color my underwear is?
It's an unconscious indicator of your subconscious intentions.
This February.
Rock? Paper? Scissors.
This is Mooseport. That's how they do it here.
All payments over time, Morgan.
It's not how you play the game.
Wait for the bounce.
You've never hit a ball out of bounds before?
Copy that. Not since I was governor.
It's whether you win.
Bringing a man's ex-wife into it.
Come on out! I know you're there!
Or lose.
Let me go! Yeah, baby, you're going down.
Excuse me, private meeting with the president.
I had dignity once. Does anybody remember that?
Welcome to Mooseport.
Mayor, no mayor, you're still going to get the same great service. I'm all done in here. I mean, I'm done fixing it. That flushing your hair, that's work-related, not personal.
Couple things here. One, this was the movie that literally Gene Hackman said, you know, I've had a good career. I think I'm going to go ahead and get the hell on out of here, because this was the last film he did before he eventually retired, and Ray Romano's basically just playing Ray Barone in a movie, and that's some of the many problems that we're going to delve into here. But most importantly, the fact that Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs actually made a reference to this, even though nobody on that movie, as far as I know, worked on this. It's just because that movie existed and they needed a funny in-joke there. Like, that should tell you everything you need to know about the longevity of this movie. If I can remember that one little detail in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, but not this movie, we got a real problem here. So the story here is that you have former President of the United States, Monroe Cole, played by Gene Hackman, who comes to his vacation home in the town of Mooseport, Maine, to escape from his ex-wife, Charlotte, played by Christine Baranski. And you have Ray Romano as Ray Barone. I mean, come on, he's Ray Barone. And I know his name is Harold Handy Harrison, but come on, he's freaking Ray Barone in this. And again, we'll get to the problems with this in a little bit. He's the town's local hardware store owner and plumber, and his job keeps him busy that he's neglecting his relationship with his girlfriend, played by Maura Tierney, and the town veterinarian, who's on the verge of dumping him. And after the death of the town mayor, the council decides to approach the president to run for office, and because the president is hitting on his girlfriend, Ray Romano says, you know what, I'm going to run for mayor of Mooseport too, and it just leads into this political satire comedy that should be a lot better, all things considered. In fact, had a completely different approach to it when they were originally announced this. Like, this was a film that was announced back in 2002. It was going to star Ray Romano and Dustin Hoffman. It was going to be directed by Rod Lurie, and it was supposed to be a different film called Mooseport. And then a couple months after that was announced, Lurie exited the film. Hoffman decided not to do the film, and so Ray Romano was still on board, and they brought in Donald Petrie, who is a much different director than Rod Lurie. Basically took the film from what kind of probably would have been an indie comedy to a goofy, silly comedy with Gene Hackman involved in it. And yeah, the film just doesn't work, and we can just get to the big problem right from the get-go, and that's Ray Romano. Like, I'm sorry, I love Ray Romano. Everybody loves Raymond is great. I think he's a terrific comedian. Like, he's a great actor in general, but this was just a movie that just, like I said, the biggest problem with this character is that it's just Ray Barone, except this time he's not a sports writer with his wife Deborah in New York City. No, he's a hardware salesman. Store owner who, for some reason, they used this again when he was on The Simpsons. Like, it's basically the same character in this movie, but in The Simpsons world, it makes sense because The Simpsons is an animated cartoon. It's not supposed to be anything like in a story like this where you have to really separate the actor's most notable role from the role that he's playing in here. But here, it's just too hard to look at this and not think Ray Barone, because Ray Romano is literally not doing anything different than the character he plays on Everybody Loves Raymond in this film. And when he tries to have these bits of comedy in here, like the whole thing in that trailer there, like the whole thing about, you know, what color underwear you wear. Like, it's this whole scene that there probably was something funny in there, and maybe with somebody else in that role, they could have made it work. But you're asking Ray Romano to do that, and that's just not what I expect from Ray Romano as a director, as a filmmaker, as a filmmaker, an actor as a whole. It's just like the whole movie doesn't work because you can't get really invested in the characters whatsoever, because they're just kind of stock characters. And Ray Romano, like I said, he's trying his best, but it's just not enough for me to distance him from the character what we all know him for, from a role like this. Now, luckily, he's gotten better with movies since then, where he's not just playing a straightforward copy of his character from Everybody Loves Raymond. He's been in a lot of movies where he's shown he's got range as an actor. You know, the Ice Age movies, for example, is a perfect example of that. You know, he's done stuff like the Get Shorty series that was on Epix. He was on Parenthood, the TV series. He was on Men of a Certain Age. The Big Sick he was great in. The Irishman he was great in. He's got range as a whole, but this is a film that's literally... The director probably looked at this and said, well, you're Ray Barone, so you could just play that character and people will buy this easily. And it also wouldn't hurt as much if the cast in here wasn't so damn talented and so wasted in this. Like, you got Ray Romano, you got Gene Hackman, you got Marcia Gay Harden, Maura Tierney, Rip Torn, Christine Baranski, June Squibb is in the movie, Fred Savage. I mean, you know, just too many good, talented people in here just being wasted on a film that had so much potential to work with here. And the writer for this is not even a bad writer, Tom Schulman. I mean, he's written for evil. I mean, this is the guy that won the Oscar for Dead Poets Society. This is the guy that wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He wrote What About Bob? I mean, he's written a lot of very good stuff. And it just feels like this movie was just there to just because we got to cash in on the fact that we got Ray Romano for this, and everybody loves him on Everybody Loves Raymond, and yet nobody really bought into it. I mean, like I said before at the beginning of this, if the one thing that you remember from this movie is the little in-joke from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, you did not have that much of a lasting legacy. If people remember that more than this film. This is just a boring film. It plays it way too safe. It's one of those movies that's a political satire. Go all in on the satirical political elements here. This feels like a film that probably would have been made today with the way that comedy right nowadays goes for the safe route in terms of political satire. I mean, this was back when you could really get away with some stuff, and no one would have really batted an eye because it's political satire. Saturday Night Live. This was when they were doing it so well, and in this feels like a film that would have been easily released around this time period, and it just doesn't work. It's just a lackluster film. A lot of good talent involved here. A decent director, and just nothing of value whatsoever. This is a terrible film. I was really let down because I was actually looking forward to this from the trailer, but when I saw the trailer 20 years ago, I should say. But as it is, yeah, definitely not worth it in the long run. Speaking of comedies I was looking forward to seeing and I was completely let down by, here's another one. DreamWorks' attempt to create another successful like Road Trip and Old School. This is Eurotrip.
Core friends. We're from Ohio. 8 countries.
Let's make love.
That's hot. 1 mission.
Are the girls coming back?
From the producers of Road Trip and Old School.
You made out with your sister!
Eurotrip. Rated R. Starts Friday, February 20th.
And let's be honest, you only remember this movie because of Scotty Doesn't Know. I mean, come on, Matt Damon singing that song, and it's just it's the most memorable song in the whole movie. And actually, it's the most memorable thing about the whole movie because it's the one funny scene in this whole movie that makes it worth it. Everything else, like the reason why Road Trip and Old School have so much longevity to them is because they were very funny, and they were also the perfect definition of a sex comedy done right. This one just doesn't really work, and it stars Scott Meklovitz, who plays Scotty Thompson, an American high school graduate who travels across Europe in search of his German pen pal Mike, played by Jessica Boers, and accompanied by his friends Cooper, played by Jacob Pitts, twin siblings Jenny and Jamie, played by Michelle Trachtenberg and Travis Webster. Scott's quest takes him to England, France, the Netherlands, Slovakia, Germany, and Italy, encountering awkward, humorous, and embarrassing situations along the way, including, as you see in the trailer there, incest between the two twin siblings. And, yeah, this is a wasted opportunity. Michelle Trachtenberg in this, I'll give her this. Michelle Trachtenberg, that Harriet the Spy grew up, man. Like, again, like, when it's the sex stuff, it works, but then again, we have the internet. In 2004, you had the internet, so there's literally no reason why you should be watching this movie, because you can easily find this stuff that you really want to see from this online. And you know, what's the rest of the movie worth it? To see the sights of the places they go to here, and even when they do that, it's not worth it, because the film just really does not give you what you want to see from it. Like, there's literally elements that they take from lesser sex comedies, like Tomcats. There's like Lucy Lawless is playing a dominatrix in here, and it's like literally taking the same type of scenario from the movie Tomcats, except I think Tomcats did it better, and that was a terrible movie on its own merits. But this whole movie is just wasted opportunity one after another. And I feel like they were trying to do this because they thought that they had the opportunity to do the same thing that they did with Road Trip and Old School. But the difference is they had good directors involved in it. They had Todd Phillips behind it. They had good talent behind it. And this, I think they entrusted way too much in this very young cast in general. They thought they had the film already in the bag. And the opportunity just isn't worth it, because even if you want to see just the sights and sounds of this places they go to here, they don't really do all that much whatsoever. The jokes are pretty lackluster when they have to do the nudity and all that. Like, it gets so ridiculously stupid. Like, there's a scene where the jacuzzi is where there's a guy that gets stuck in a jacuzzi, and this girl is naked, and the guy's just like, "Oh, you got something on your chest," and like she's literally just rubbing her breast for literally a good 5 minutes with no real joke whatsoever, and it just fails miserably of what they're trying to do here. And like, it also is kind of sexist too, not just for the nudity, but the fact that almost every girl, as Evans Mitchell wrote in his review, almost every girl in the movie has fewer than 10 lines to speak before and has to take her top off. That's literally what they do in the film, and it's just like you know, Road Trip and Old School at least had more characters being developed in those films. This is just a movie that is not really worth it in the end, because there's just nothing of value to it. The jokes aren't working. The young cast they have doesn't work. The writing isn't very good. The comedy isn't working good. Even the sex scenes that do make the film somewhat worth it. Again, you don't need to watch the movie. Just go online, look for them there. I just saved you $15 on the whole film. I mean, it's just not a very good movie, and one that I was really let down, because I did like Road Trip. I did like Old School. I think that DreamWorks really thought they had another one in the bag, because Old School was such a success the year before. But Old School worked because you had top talents like Will Ferrell, Luke Wilson, Vince Vaughn, a strong comedy cast, a funny concept, a film that was just so much better in general than this. This just feels like a movie that they were hoping to repeat the same success they had before, and just failed miserably at it. And it's a shame, because the possibilities were there, just the execution was off. So yeah, major letdown on this. Like I said, if the one thing you remember from this movie is Scotty doesn't know, probably not a good sign for the rest of the film in general. So, and again, kind of like with The Cat in the Hat, it's got the same people who wrote The Cat in the Hat and wrote for Seinfeld. You know, Jeff Schaffer, Alec Berg, David Mandel. How do you make two bad movies over the course of 3 months? Honestly, but I digress. So we've had 3 losers so far this week. Can we wrap it up on a high note with the last one we have here? Meg Ryan, Omar Epps, and Charles S. Dutton's Against the Ropes.
They came from different worlds.
Do you always talk like this?
Talk like what?
Too much.
What was her childhood dream?
What do you know about boxing?
I know as much as you.
And his talent.
This boy is good.
Just a tiny bit raw.
That brought them together.
You ain't never managed nobody in your whole life.
Inspired by a true story.
Keep up the good work. She'll be famous and you'll be history.
He's messing with my fighter, setting him up to lose.
Against the Ropes, rated PG-13. This Friday only in theaters.
Yeah, probably not a good sign for the movie when the trailer really has a line as bad as this.
I'm more scared now to do this than to do it. So you call me for blackout.
I just need to check something real quick. Okay, I thought this movie was written by a white woman, but nope. A black woman wrote that line. A black woman literally wrote the line, "You call me for blackout." Wow, that was bad. That was the line that made me go, okay, there's no hope for this movie whatsoever. I mean, this woman also wrote Save the Last Dance, so she's not a terrible writer in general, but that line just felt like a line that would have been written by a white person that was trying to be black. It felt like something you would hear from Marcy X, but nope. Not that whatsoever. This is directed by Charles S. Dutton, and we also in the film. It's his feature film directorial debut, and for Meg Ryan, this is her chance to make amends for In the Cut, which was a movie that was literally existing by the fact that she was going to get naked in that. And it's like this movie almost had an opportunity to work, but then you actually watch the film. She stars as Jackie Kalen, who is the first woman to achieve success as a boxing manager, and she actually meets up with this fighter played by Omar Epps, and tries to turn him into a star boxer. And Kaylin actually has a bit role playing a reporter in this, and a few lines in the scenes where the press interviews the principal characters she's involved in. And like I said, there's a lot of possibilities in here. There's just a great cast overall in this. I mean, Meg Ryan is really good. Can be really good when you give her the right material to work with. Omar Epps, Tim Daly, Kerry Washington, Charles S. Dutton, Holt McCaney from Lights Out. Tony Shalhoub is very different than what you would expect to see him in. Because you expect that when you see Tony Shalhoub, you expect that guy from Monk. But no, he's playing a more dignified character. He doesn't look like a guy that's seen better days, like the guy in Men in Black that he plays. But it looks like a much different character than we're used to seeing. And you see the possibilities there, but you also see, man, this is just another knockoff of Rocky. I mean, it's literally a Rocky knockoff. And I guess to the movie's credit, it's not the worst, and I guess Meg Ryan is putting her all into it. I mean, it's not a bad performance by her or Omar Epps. I think they're both doing a very good job here. And now that I think about it, the cast overall is, for the most part, doing a decent job. It's just they're not really given a whole lot to do. I mean, this is stuff that we've seen done to death on so many different other movies of this caliber, like, Digstown, The Great White Hype, like I said, the Rocky movies, and you really have to distance yourself and do something different compared to what was already successful in the past if you're going to find success with a concept like this. And it's not Meg Ryan's fault that the movie is bad. It's just not written well, because I'm pretty sure Paramount, all they wanted from this was another Rocky movie. And it just really is not on that caliber of level that this thing should be on. And it's a shame, because the pieces are definitely there. It's the story. You've seen the story done to death so many times, and it's just... And you expect better from Charles S. Dutton. Charles S. Dutton is a phenomenal actor who's done a ton of great work throughout his career. And for his directorial debut, you expect something a lot better than this. I mean, this is just... It's just a lazy film. And there's just pieces there that just work to the film's advantage, and just from the cast alone. But other than that, though, it's just not worth it in the end. It's a film that has so much potential to it. It's a very interesting story idea, but just bad execution overall. Just nothing about it makes it work in the end, and it's a shame, because I really did went into this with a little bit higher expectations, because I do like Meg Ryan. I think she is much better than people went on. But she was picking some really bad movies around this time, and this one is just a film that had some potential to it, but just needed a better writer and director to really show off the true possibilities of what this story could be like. And I'll give it this. It's probably the best movie we have this entire week, but then again, not saying a whole lot, so that is Against the Ropes.
Rated R.
So yeah, if you don't remember this back in the day, this was a pretty controversial film. Most people really had a mixed opinion on it. It did not get the best reviews in general, but it was a massive hit. People went to go see it, and it was actually the most successful independent movie of all time. It still is that, even after all these years. It's also still the highest-grossing R-rated movie in the USA, with $370 million. It's a film that has been... it was of the zeitgeist at the time, but 20 years later, honestly, a lot of people have really forgotten about it. I mean, it's a movie that you don't really hear talked about all that much, except the fact that Mel Gibson's now doing a sequel to it. Supposedly it's coming out next year, but back in the day, it was very controversial. I mean, you either really didn't like this movie, or you really liked it. You either found it a religious or holy experience, or you found it to be anti-Semitic, which for Mel Gibson is not really that shocking nowadays, but and you thought the graphic violence was too extreme and emotionally draining to really appreciate the true value of the movie. For me personally, I never really got to see the film in general until very late in the game, and this is after I saw South Park do a true bashing of this, basically calling it just watching a guy getting whipped for 2.5 hours, and basically calling Mel Gibson a wacko director, and just telling him he's cuckoo. And the whole thing in that movie is that you either like the movie or you don't like it, and you're against Christianity. And of course, that's not really what the case for that is. I mean, it's a funny episode, but it's basically saying that you don't have to be anti-Semitic, you don't have to be against Christianity to not like the movie. I mean, and that's really what it came down to when I finally watched the film in general after all these years. I really watched it and was just kind of like, yeah, South Park was making a good point here. There's nothing about this movie that's all that interesting, like, it is kind of just watching this guy getting beaten, the life beaten out of him for 2.5 hours. I mean, yeah, it's Jesus Christ, but at the same time, it's complicated. I haven't even talked about the plot yet. It depicts the passion of Jesus, largely according to the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. It also draws on pious accounts such as the Friday of Sorrows, along with other devotional writings such as the reputed visions attributed to Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich. And the film covers the final 12 hours before Jesus Christ's death, known as the Passion. It begins with the agony in the Garden of Olives, continuing with the betrayal of Judas, with the brutal scoring of the pillar, the suffering of Mary as prophesied by Simeon, and the crucifixion and death of Jesus, ending with a brief depiction of his resurrection. And the narrative is interspersed with moments of Jesus' life, such as the Last Supper, the Sermon on the Mount, moments of Jesus' early life, and it was mostly shot in Italy. For Mel Gibson, it was an ambitious film to do, and, this is the guy that did Braveheart about 10 years ago and won Best Picture with it, and maybe he thought this was going to be another one of those movies that would be just like that, and, I mean, I'll give him credit, he did put a lot of visual effort into it. From the visual perspective and the production values are really good. The cast overall is really good. Jim Caviezel, I think, is very good playing Jesus of Nazareth. I do like the score that John Debney does. John Debney's not a guy that usually is known for doing these serious, dramatic scores, but does a pretty good job with this in particular. To me, I think the major complaints everyone has with the film, that's what I kind of have with it too. Like, it does seem like it's too anti-Semitic at times, and also sometimes the violence can be really too much for you. I mean, we can stand violence in movies as long as the film is good. Like 12 Years a Slave and Schindler's List are great movies. But they are so hard to watch because the violence in those movies are just they're tough to watch, but you want to go back, but you still want to watch those movies because the movies themselves were good in general. And there's pieces in here that are good, but there's not enough there for me to say that the movie deserves to be up there with that caliber of quality films like Schindler's List or 12 Years a Slave, because this doesn't really have those same levels that this movie does. I mean, I appreciate what Mel Gibson was trying to do with this, but I feel like it was a movie that had a lot of possibilities to it, but I don't think he really had a direction of who he was aiming this really towards. I mean, it's really hard to make a story like this. It's not that hard to, I take that back, it's not that hard to make a story like this and have a wide appeal to it. I mean, we've seen it before back in the days of the golden age of film, The Ten Commandments is one of the great examples, Even for kids, you can make this story work with The Prince of Egypt. That came out not but 6 years before this. But, I mean, it does have its loyal fan base in general, and I mean, if you take anything else with this is the film that showed Hollywood that, hey, Christianity can sell in film if you have the right people involved in it. Like, the box office will sell for a Christian movie if you get the right people involved in it. A couple years after this, we would have, Tyler Perry's first movie, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, not really a Christianity feel to it, but it was more centered around the church aspect. That same year we had The Gospel, which was a big hit, and we started to get these little independent movies becoming successes, like Fireproof, Courageous, there's a lot of other ones, and nowadays we have them all over the place now. Like, Lionsgate makes a ton of these movies every year, and they all somehow are very profitable, very successful. And The Passion of the Christ was, I think, the first one that really showed Hollywood that, hey, these type of films can do really well if you get the right people involved in them. So take that for what you will. I have problems with the movie from just the fact that they went too far with it, some of the violence and some of the ways that they went with it. I mean, granted, that's probably what happened back in the day, but at the same time, it really takes me out of the feeling of the film to really give it the proper review that I think I should give it. I mean, it's a movie that it has good elements to it, but it's not enough that makes me want to say that it's one you need to check out. It's really a film that is really just, honestly, just okay for what it is. I mean, it's nothing too spectacular, and I think the zeitgeist of the time was where the popularity of it was so high, but nowadays, it's really not that special, honestly. Like, we see much better movies told with the story told in bigger and better ways besides this. But, yeah, so that's my thoughts on The Passion of the Christ. So with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Ashley Judd, Samuel L. Jackson, and Andy Garcia in Philip Kaufman's Twisted.
Detective Jessica Shepard is an expert on the criminal mind.
There's been another murder.
But her latest case,
The crime scene is clean. What do the victims have in common?
Just me.
doesn't fit the familiar profile.
Somebody has been following me.
Is that why people keep dying around you?
Because this time, all the clues point to her.
The last person I saw him with looked like you.
Ashley Judd, Samuel L. Jackson, Andy Garcia.
Did you kill these men?
Twisted. Rated R. That's Friday, February 27th.
This fall on NBC. I mean, seriously, look at that trailer and tell me that doesn't look like a preview for a show on NBC coming up this fall. You've got Ashley Judd starring in here as an on-the-rise police officer of San Francisco's esteemed police department. After solving a big case about a serial killer, her mentor, John Mills, is proud of Jessica as a father would be of her daughter, since Mills was the partner of Jessica's late father. And with a newly established promotion, Jessica finds that she might once again have to prove herself in a department that takes no prisoners, not to mention a new partner named Mike Del Marco, who might be Jessica's next closest thing to a confidant. However, a man has been found dead, and the two officers are brought in to investigate. What they find is a surprise when the dead in question was a man Jessica slept with, he being part of a list of one-night stands that Jessica has engaged in. Now, under suspicion that a terrible drinking problem gnawing at her, Jessica will have to prove to her superiors and to her skeptical partner that she's not the one behind the murders, and Mills is one of the few people standing behind her. There's also a story, this is a story about a woman trying to find the perpetrators of these horrible crimes before she might end up as one of them. Another one of those movies that really did not know how to cash Ashley Judd. I mean, Kiss the Girls was a success a couple of years. I'm taking it back. She wasn't even in Kiss the Girls, but this was one of those movies that they really did not know what to do with Ashley Judd. I mean, she started her career off so strongly in movies like Cuffs and King of the Hill, and then all of a sudden they just decided to put her in these thrillers that didn't really make a whole lot of sense to put her in because, I mean, yeah, Double Jeopardy was a big success and did well. Okay, she was in Kiss the Girls. I thought that was on Monica Potter, but that's the sequel. Along Came a Spider. But then you have in these other movies that were just movies that really didn't know how to cast her in these films, like Where the Heart Is, Someone Like Her, or High Crimes. But in here, this is a movie that just has no idea what the hell they're trying to accomplish here. I mean, this is a film that just really is all over the place. The twists are not that interesting or exciting. You could pretty much tell right away who the bad guy is and what's going to happen next, and it just doesn't work in the end. Plus, it's a $50 million movie. There's no reason that this movie should have a $50 million budget to it whatsoever. This looks like a movie that should have been made on the cheap, but where the hell did they put $50 million at for this? Like, who on this film is worth $50 million? I mean, keep in mind, this is 2004, and Samuel L. Jackson, he's popular, but he's not $50 million popular in 2004. Just saying, but yeah, the film itself is just lazy, too. And it's the last film Phil Kaufman ever directed, which is a shame, because here's the director of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Right Stuff, The Unbearable Lightness of Being, Henry and June, Rising Sun, Quills, and his career has to come to an end with Twisted, of all things. That's just a shame. Like the whole movie, it's a shame because there's too much talent involved in this, from the director to the cast. Just needs to be so much better than it actually is, honestly. But and again, you could say that for most of the movies that we have on this week's show. But then again, that's Twisted for you. So let's go ahead and move on to... I said this was a sequel. It's not really a sequel. It's one of those movies that I really do feel like was one that they had the name... They had the name Dirty Dancing, and they had a different movie that had nothing to do with Dirty Dancing, and just said, let's put Dirty Dancing on, and then we'll see if it will sell. But it's the sequel, Dirty Dancing, Havana Night. Sequel, in quotation marks.
If we mix what you do with what I do, I really think we have something.
I said it's the sequel, but no, it's actually a prequel to the original Dirty Dancing, and it serves as the second featured film in the series. And the story takes place in Cuba during the Cuban Revolution, and you follow this young woman named Katie Miller, played by January Jones, and this guy, Javier Suarez, Diego Luna, who are basically the new Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey. In fact, Patrick Swayze actually has a cameo in here as a dance instructor. You also have Celia Ward, John Slattery, pre-Mad Men, Jonathan Jackson, Romola Gary, Mika Burem. Actually, I said January Jones was the woman in this. No, it's Romola Gary from Nicholas Nickleby, and that's her playing the main girl in here. But January Jones is in here. So is Maya. So is I think that's it. I think that's everybody else that's involved in here. This is a movie that's not. I remember seeing this years ago. I don't remember a damn thing about it. But what I remember from it is that this was not a very good film, and I'm willing to believe that this film. I still believe that this film had nothing to do with Dirty Dancing whatsoever, and because there's literally nothing in here that says this is a Dirty Dancing movie. This is a film that's related to Dirty Dancing whatsoever. Like, this feels like a film that they made because Dirty Dancing was that they had a movie called Havana Nights. That's probably what this whole thing was simply beforehand. And they had there was no way they were going to sell this because they didn't have any big stars. However, Dirty Dancing was under Lionsgate's ownership. So they said, let's just plaster that on there, and let's get Patrick Swayze to do a quick cameo in here, because that'll clearly put everything together in place, so we can sell this as a Dirty Dancing franchise film. And it just really was not. And let's be honest, this movie became more memorable for what Harvey Weinstein did during the making of this, because this was in the midst of Harvey Weinstein's sexual abuse allegations, and Romola Gary later revealed that Weinstein had required her to meet her alone him alone in a hotel room while he was wearing only a bathrobe to obtain the part, and said that I had to go to his hotel room in the Savoy and he answered the door in his bathrobe. I was only 18, I felt violated by it. It stayed very clearly in my memory. That's the only memorable thing that this movie has now, is the fact that this was one of those movies where, Harvey Weinstein did what he had to do, did what he thought he had to do back then, but yeah. So that's really the only thing that people will remember this movie from. It's one of the most notorious moments when Harvey Weinstein's sexual misconduct took shape. The film itself is just lazy. It's a lazy film. It's a cheap knockoff of the original film. There's no reason to make this movie. Nothing of value comes from it whatsoever. Just a complete waste of time on all levels. So that's pretty much all I got to say about Havana Nights. But let's go ahead and move on to the last movie here, and that is Broken Lizard's Club Dread.
At Coconut Peaks, life is one big party.
You ready for the time of your life?
But when you're voted off this island, you're gone for good. From the Warped Minds who brought you Super Troopers. Oh, yeah! Broken Lizard's Club Dread, rated R, starts tomorrow.
Yeah, those trailers are probably the reason why this film is not as memorable as Super Troopers. This is the follow-up to Super Troopers for Broken Lizard, where you follow a group of staff members on a tropical island resort where an unknown killer begins a murder spree. And it's a film that's essentially a horror comedy spoof with the Broken Lizard people involved. Plus you have Brittany Daniel from White Chicks, Bill Paxton's in here. That's really about it. And like I said, this has no memorability to it whatsoever. This is a film that was clearly made because Super Troopers became the cult hit that it was. This is a film that was trying to be the next Super Troopers and just failed miserably. The jokes weren't funny. The spoof of the horror movie is not really that clever in general. I mean, it's another one of those movies where if you really put it together, you can figure out what's going to happen when it's all said and done. It'd be nice if the jokes were funnier. Like, Super Troopers still has those memorable moments in there that make me laugh every time I see them. But in this, there's hardly anything I remember from this movie that was legitimately funny. And it felt like a film that really just was completely devoid of what made Super Troopers work as well as it does. That's not in this movie. The jokes aren't that funny. The horror spoof aspect doesn't really work all that well. If you're looking for some nudity in there, you'll find it in there. But again, like with Eurotrip last time, just go online and look for the clips right there. I mean, there's no reason to spend your money on this movie whatsoever. Just a complete waste of time on so many levels. And the fact that this thing only had an $8 million budget, it couldn't even make that back. That's how bad this movie is that people didn't go see this, even though Super Troopers had this legacy behind it. Even they knew how bad this movie was. And it just didn't work. It's a really bad film. a very, very disappointing outing from the Broken Lizard guys, who were very funny with Super Troopers, but at least their next film they did would at least be better. And I take that back. That film they did after that film was better than this. But we'll get to that one when we get to 2005. But that's Club Dread for you.